up the Nevada Proving Grounds, which we now call the Nevada Test Site. You know, this is about 60 miles north of Las Vegas. To check out the weapons for Greenhouse, Operation Ranger was conducted, in which 5 new nuclear weapon types were airdropped at that new test site. With the confidence of those new weapons in hand, Operation Greenhouse proceeded in the spring of 1951. 4 shots were conducted on Greenhouse. One of the shots, shot easy, was a Department of Defense structural effects test. A 47-kiloton nuclear device on a tower was used, and it loaded many of the structures that had been developed for survivability in the nuclear weapon environment. A 4th test on Operation Greenhouse was the item test, about a 45.5 kiloton test in which tritium was burned in the very center of the nuclear explosion. And this process of putting tritium at the very center of the nuclear weapon is called boosting. And we kicked the yield up from about 20 kilotons to 45.5 kilotons, more than doubling it by that process. A very important feature in expanding the stockpile of nuclear weapons of the United States at that time. Another of the events on Greenhouse was the George event. Now, George is a large 225 kiloton weapon that was used to burn a deuterium capsule. And this is the first of our thermonuclear weapon experiments to ever be conducted.
Many people thought about it. We discussed it a lot. At the end of the war, most people wanted to stop. I did not. Because here was more knowledge. And in the coming uncertain period, with a dangerous man like Stalin around, and our incomplete knowledge, I felt that more knowledge is necessary. Among the people who knew a great deal about the hydrogen bomb, I was the only advocate of it. And that is, I think, my contribution. Not that I invented it. Others would have. And others in the Soviet Union did. But I was the one person who put knowledge and the availability of knowledge above everything else. And I must say, it appears that that appealed to Truman, and he made the right decision.
Welcome aboard the USS Estes. As you may or may not know, the Estes here is the command ship of Joint Task Force 132. We have minutes to go before the first blast, mic shot, of Operation Island. 59 minutes now, to be exact. We've been here since daybreak. Left Wetak last night during the early morning hours. Now, as you can imagine, feeling is running pretty high about now, and there's reason for it. If everything goes according to plan, we'll soon see the largest explosion ever set off on the face of the Earth. The test islands for Mike are located at the top, or the northern sector, of Eniwetok Atoll, some 25 miles from Perry and Eniwetok, the two base islands of this atoll proving grounds.
Le tre isole che costituivano il sito del test erano collegate da strade rialzate. Queste vie di collegamento furono costruite per facilitare il transito da un'isola all'altra e rappresentavano delle piattaforme su cui installare alcune delle strumentazioni. Sull'isola destinata alla deflagrazione c'era l'edificio che ospitava l'ordigno. Mike era definita una bomba umida perché innescava la reazione nucleare impiegando isotopi di idrogeno liquido. Ciò rendeva il congegno piuttosto voluminoso. Il peso di 62 tonnellate non ne faceva un'arma facilmente trasportabile. Un tubo di compensato partiva dall'isola della deflagrazione e attraversava le piattaforme di collegamento per arrivare a una stazione di rilevamento sull'isola più lontana a quasi 3 chilometri di distanza. Il tubo era pieno di elio che velocizzava il passaggio dei letali raggi radioattivi fino alla stazione di rilevamento prima che l'isola venisse polverizzata dalla nube di fuoco.
You have a grandstand seat here to one of the most momentous events in the history of science. In less than a minute, you will see the most powerful explosion ever witnessed by human eyes. The blast will come out of the horizon just about there. And this is the significance of the moment. This is the first full-scale test of a hydrogen device. If the reaction goes, we're in the thermonuclear era. For the sake of all of us, and for the sake of our country, I know that you join me in wishing this expedition well.
It is now 30 seconds to zero time. Put on goggles or turn away. Do not remove goggles or face burst until 10 seconds after the first light.
Minus 15 seconds. Minus 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, T0.
Approaching ground zero, coming up on Bogon. The detection station on Bogon appears to be in good shape. No visible sign of plywood tube. All test islands seem to be swept clean. Ugilab is completely gone. Nothing there but water and what appears to be a deep crater.
Nella primavera del 1953 l'Atomic Energy Commission e il Dipartimento della Difesa testarono 11 ordigni nucleari nel Nevada. Il nome dell'operazione era Upshot Not All. L'obiettivo era testare nuovi dispositivi nucleari, migliorare le tattiche sul campo e studiare i bisogni della difesa civile in caso di attacco sovietico.
The first of the events, codenamed Encore, was a 27 kiloton nuclear device airdropped and detonated at about 2,800 feet above a large blast line. The second Department of Defense burst, called Grable, was detonated at the same general area, and it was delivered by the Army's new artillery cannon. A 280 millimeter projectile was fired and detonated over about the same blast area, with a yield of about 15 kilotons at an altitude of about 500 feet. Now, the smaller yield, 15 kilotons at 500 feet, produced a great deal more damage than had the larger yield Encore event, 27 kilotons at 2,800 feet. And that's because the smaller yield at the lower altitude produced a very abnormal waveform, which we call a precursor, which is very strong